You're listening to the Project Ignite podcast,
where real digital entrepreneurs reveal their very best tips, tools, and strategies to help you ignite and grow your online business.
ProjectIgnite.com. Your digital business starts here.
Now, here's your host, Derek Gale.
Welcome to another episode of the Project Ignite podcast, where we skip the hype, we skip the BS, we bring you real, actionable tips and strategies from entrepreneurs that are actually doing stuff, and you're going to learn from them so you can hopefully replicate that success in your business. This is your host, Derek Gale, and today we're going to be diving deep into a topic that I love, something that I've had a lot of experience with over the years, and that's how to create and sell high-ticket mastermind groups in your business. And I can honestly say, over the course of my career, of all the things I've done, I mean, every year, I sell a ton of physical goods, I have digital products, I've got multiple different businesses. But if I had to say one of the most personally fulfilling and profitable things I've done in my business is high ticket mastermind groups. And I love it. And so we're going to dive in that today. And today's guest actually personally leads two high ticket mastermind groups and also coaches entrepreneurs around the world on how to create and grow their own mastermind group. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Chris Williams to the show. Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Derek and Derek fans, man, this is super duper fun. Super stoked to be here. So glad to just honestly hang out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. A lot of people ask me, because I never run ads on my podcast. But how do you monetize your podcast? I'm like, I'll be honest with you. I don't. I do it for my listeners, and I do it because it gives me the opportunity to have really good conversations with cool people on a regular basis, right? And I totally enjoy that aspect of it. So, I mean, maybe one day I should maybe monetize it, but I have no desire to. I mean, this is just something I enjoy doing. So now, before we get into, masterminds and stuff, why don't you share a little bit about your background, right? Like, how did you, get into this whole mastermind thing and then end up teaching people how to do it? Walk us through your entrepreneurial journey, if you will.
Oh man, you had to ask. That's like painful failure.
Yeah.
Derek, come on.
Dude, we've all, but you know what? That's such a good thing for listeners to hear, especially the people that are just starting their entrepreneurial journey, because they only see the successes we have and they don't see all the scorched earth, pain, agony, and sleepless nights we had getting there.
Yes. Okay. So back when I was starting this 6-7 years ago, I knew I had something people wanted because I still run a digital agency that's a full service marketing agency for surgeons. Okay. Still run that.
Okay.
I don't ever talk about that on these shows because nobody cares about that. It's boring, right? Just marketing. Marketing to doctors. Who cares?
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, I work less than an hour a week, maybe an hour and a half a week in that agency. I have a great team, great systems that run it. All right, Derek, that is so much of what you're constantly teaching. And by the way, folks, lean in on Derek. He's freaking put an enormous amount of content out for you to run an agency that way. Get it right. You don't have to work. You can make money and not work that much. It's so cool. So I was doing that. And all of a sudden I realized, oh man, people keep wanting to take me to lunch and ask me, number one, are you a drug dealer? And number two, if you're not, how are you making all this money with so little time? So all of a sudden I realized, hey, I got something in my head, not just my finger skill set typing on a keyboard. I got something in my head and my experience, my expertise that they want. Mm-hmm. And they're willing to pay some dollar amount, a cup of coffee or a couple $100 for an hour of my time. Mm-hmm. And I realized, oh crap, I could sell that. I could sell that over and over and over again and never have to work nights and weekends or weekdays again, right? That's the dream, the money tree. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's where it turns into a nightmare. It's a great dream. So I created an online course all by my little self while I was sitting on a beach in the Dominican Republic for a month.
Nice.
And nobody freaking bought it. I spent over $100,000, 5 courses. Wow. Nobody. I sold one. I'm still convinced it was Jill, my wife, just trying to make me feel better.
The pity purchase.
Nobody purchased, and it was because I did it wrong. So then I was in a high ticket mastermind, paid $30,000 to sit in a room with 60 other, really accomplished entrepreneurs. We had to show our tax return income statements to actually be able to apply for this thing. You had to be in a great spot to be there. And I told him, here's what I've done. I got this other business. It's funding my expensive e-course hobby over here. And they're like, dude, you're doing it wrong. You got to have a high ticket mastermind and organically market, organically sell into it, and build the content based on what people are actually buying from you. Before you build it, they should be buying. And that will turn into all the digital products you want. And like, they were right. 6 weeks later, I had a full mastermind and it was selling, and I hadn't even built it yet.
Yeah.
Because I marketed first, you know?
Yeah. Yep. So you went to a mastermind and discovered you needed a mastermind, and then you started a mastermind, and now you've become a mastermind expert helping people start masterminds.
Very meta. Yeah. I don't know. Red pill, blue pill. I can't figure out which one I took, but it's kind of trippy.
That's awesome. What mastermind were you part of where you discovered that?
I was in Russell Brunson's mastermind. Funnels.
Yep.
And I don't know how to build a funnel, guys. Never learned, don't intend to learn. I got great team members to help me with that kind of stuff. I just knew, I really respect a lot of things that, again, people love or hate ClickFunnels like they love or hate Facebook. Who cares? Yeah. Bottom line is, you're watching entrepreneurs do really cool things.
Yeah.
And I joined that group, not to be with Russell Brunson, although time with him was great, super cool guy, but I wanted to be with the collection of people. He just made it easy for me. I got to spend a bucket of change in order for somebody else to filter out a friend group, a peer group for me to hang out with. And that was worth every penny.
Yeah. And I mean, we're going to get into starting masterminds, but I think, there's a lesson here for everybody listening. I've been parts of lots of masterminds over the years, and I agree 110% with what you said. It's a way to effectively instantly buy into a network of like-minded people. And, I was part of the War Room Mastermind for a year, which is, that's traffic and conversion,
yeah.
Same thing, sort of same price point. I mean, it's an interesting one because when I first started in that, it was a much smaller group. But then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and, had 100+ people, and it kind of really lost kind of the mastermind feel. And I think we'll talk more about that later, because I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Right. But yeah, it's such a valuable, connections. And, I mean, just even stepping away from your business and being around like-minded people for, a couple days every, 3 or 4 times a year. I mean, as you saw, you had a massive breakthrough.
Yeah. Yeah. I am sure, 100% sure that I've made at least $100,000 off of that one $30,000 mastermind seat that I purchased. Like easy money made buying into a group of really quality people. And the second thing I learned there was, as much as I want to be the coolest guy in the room when it's my own mastermind, I'm just not.
Yeah.
It's the other people that I have as students of my own. They're way cooler and way more helpful to each other than I will ever be for everybody in my group.
Yeah. And that's the trick. Find masterminds where the people are already where you want to be, right? You never want to be the smartest guy in the room. It's great for the ego, but that's about it.
Didn't make money.
No, not at all. So, okay. So actually, let's kind of start with state of the nation, because we've come out of a pretty bumpy couple of years here. And, masterminds historically have been very much an in-person, meet up and, people travel to them and stuff like that. How has the pandemic affected masterminds, and, how do you see it changing them in the future?
There's kind of 2 really distinct markets for this live or virtual show. An audience like you mentioned, the mastermind you're part of, and I mentioned the one I'm part of. Those 2 audiences, those groups sell really well from stage. Their large events and their in-person masterminds are what they've built that sales model around. I've seen people like that kind of stumble and struggle trying to figure out, okay, how does this sales path work for themselves as the leaders? The flip side of that is people who were more focused on the virtual, like they had a weekly mastermind group meeting, let's say virtually, and they got together once or twice a year just for support and community, not to pitch. Those have stayed super strong and done nothing but grow even faster. So that's kind of a line in the sand from a leadership standpoint. But what we've done, and ours is not the right or wrong answer. Here in Canada, I'm here in the lower 48. And we have a lot of mastermind members in my mastermind that are from around the world, and everybody's local government and everybody's local pandemic situation, healthcare system, whatever, has different constraints around us getting together face to face.
Mhm.
So for the past 18 months, we've chosen to just keep everything virtual and not even make anybody feel like they're half left in, half left out, depending on what their politics are or whatever. And that's worked really well. We've just gone overboard to really make sure the virtual connections stay strong and to have lots of intentional connection around that. Because again, this is not an online e-course. This is real networking, connection, and getting stuff done and accountability. And I'm glad, man, I'm so glad that we were, as many of you listening are, you're already probably very comfortable with virtual before the pandemic. You probably had virtual team members already. Like for those of us in digital marketing, we already had the tool sets and the skills to make this happen.
So do you think you lose something going virtual?
We've before pandemic, we were doing a hybrid.
Okay.
Some virtual, some live, pick a cool weekend and go somewhere fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is nothing that replaces 3 or 4 days at a resort and everybody sharing experiences and having breakout sessions and bringing a cool speaker or two in. That connection, you probably get 12 weeks worth of emotional connection with humans in one quick weekend at a resort.
Yeah.
But that's not what the world dealt us, And I think during the pandemic, and are we coming out of it or not? I don't know where we are in this thing. Yeah, whatever. We've had more connection virtually than I ever thought was possible. And I don't know if that's because we stepped up our game virtually, or if it's because people we're all like really hungry for, look, I'll show up on a group Zoom call if it's legit and it matters and I can get stuff done in a community. And anybody can provide that.
So I know I've on a bit of a tangent here, but what are you using in terms of platform technology to facilitate the virtual masterminds? Is it Zoom? Is there a Slack? Is there what is it?
Yeah, we keep it really straightforward because I'm after relationship, not tools and toys. So we use Zoom.
Yep.
And we have a Facebook chat messenger group for our connection. I don't use a Facebook group. I don't use Slack. We've tried all those options and it's distracting more than it is connecting. Facebook Messenger app is the easiest connection form. You can share videos, you can share pictures. It's all so native to everybody. So Zoom and Facebook Messenger, and then a membership area where all the content, saved Q&As, all that kind of stuff is. Obviously you got to have a filing cabinet for the stuff.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So let's take a step back now. We kind of went off a tangent of the whole pandemic and stuff like that. So for people that are listening right now that don't have a mastermind group, don't know a lot about mastermind groups, never been to a mastermind group, what kind of businesses can benefit from a mastermind group?
I haven't found one yet that doesn't.
Okay.
Here's what matters. You have to, as the expert, let's say you're the expert and I've got something that other people want. I own an HVAC company, HVAC, heating and air, and I don't, let's just say I did. And I constantly have other HVAC, owners reaching out to me at conventions or online or whatever, saying, love your website, love your marketing here. You've taken over your tri-state area. How'd you do it?
Right.
You are now an expert. You figured out the codes that need to be cracked. You could build a mastermind of those people very easily. If you're a digital marketing expert, you could build a mastermind on how you did it, how you built your business, how to be, super productive with Facebook ads. We have people who have been in our mastermind who have gone through the process because they have a counseling therapy business and they're showing other therapists how to build the systems and the marketing in to get more therapy clients. It doesn't matter. Most of us sell or do something that creates more money for people, more time and efficiency for people, more personal mental health for people, or more relationship strength for people. Time, money, personal health, and relationships. Those 4 categories are what most of us do for other people. If you're an expert in that, there's some people who want you to do it for them, and there's some people who want you to teach them how to do it. And in that teach them how to do it market segment, there's a sliver of that segment in every population that wants not just to watch the videos on how to do it, but they want to do it in a community with accountability. And they want the assurance to know the experts there with us. So every time we talk, they can point me in exactly the right direction, because I don't want to freaking waste my time anymore. Mm-hmm. And those are your clients when you're an expert.
It's, I think, a great example of how obscure and bizarre it is I mean, Joe Polish. So he started off as a carpet cleaner, teaching people and cleaning, and then he was really successful with his carpet cleaning and marketed his business well. And then he started teaching other carpet cleaning businesses, I believe, how to, market their businesses. And I mean, that's evolved and grown into, he's a leading marketing expert, and his, I can't remember what his mastermind's called now. I'm blanking. But it's,
I don't remember, but I know the story. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the biggest masterminds out there now, probably 100 people that are spending, 40, 50 grand a year to learn general marketing and business and stuff from him. Right. And he started in carpet cleaning. Right. Yeah. So, okay. Can
I just mention what just happened there, though? That the cool thing about that is, again, most of us that are listening and talking and hanging out with this concept right here, right now, get your headphones in, you're listening. Mm-hmm. This concept, the carpet cleaner who turns into a mega mastermind leader, he's just an entrepreneur like you and me. And he's the kind of person who's wired to crack the next code. You get bored once you fix something in your own business and you want to do the next thing, the next shiny object, you want to figure it out. Mm-hmm. 99.9% of the population on the planet doesn't like that. And they want to buy the code that's already cracked from someone like you. And that's what that carpet cleaner guy figured out. He realized, oh, I just figured out the next thing, and it's worth more than cleaning carpets. Let me sell that now. And he kept going over and over and over. And that's what your expertise is worth.
Absolutely. And it's Genius Network. That's what the damn thing's called.
Genius Network. Yeah.
Genius Network. So, okay. So we're talking about masterminds. And so if somebody's listening and they're thinking, okay, well, yeah, I've got this knowledge. People ask me for advice on this. I could sell, consulting. And I guess that's probably a great sort of litmus test. If people would pay you for your knowledge to sit down one-on-one, there's probably a good opportunity for a mastermind to exist in there. But when we say mastermind, a lot of people go, okay, well, first of all, what's the structure? What is a mastermind? What does that look like? What am I delivering? And then what's it worth? And better yet, how the heck am I going to sell it? Because a lot of people, when you get to high ticket sales, all of I think their insecurities immediately, take over to take them over and like, oh my God, nobody's going to pay me 10 grand or 20 grand or 30 grand. Right. So, I mean, let's start at the, I guess, the beginning, right? Like, first of all, how do you structure your mastermind? What does that look like?
Okay. Let's start at the beginning, and I'll take it one step before the beginning.
Perfect.
If you don't have a way to predictably generate on profile high ticket leads, then you don't have a business. You're just getting lucky. Mm-hmm. So if everything comes from referrals or from the people you already know, and you're not the one controlling the lead flow, mm-hmm. then there is no business. It's luck, and it will run out eventually. All right. That's principle number one in any business venture. Tesla sells cars, but watch them before they sell cars. All these car companies come with electric cars. Every one of them, you can download the app, you can jump on there, you can design your car, you can pay $100 to hold your spot. Mm-hmm. They pre-sell the offer, then they go start building cars. Same thing with masterminds. So what you're going to teach really comes down to what you discover while you're letting people know, hey, I'm an expert in this. Would love to help you. How can I help you? What are you trying to figure out? They're going to tell you exactly what they want to learn. And then you can follow up with questions like, wow, so if we could help you figure that out, what would that accomplish for you? Like, I just want to be able to see what's going on in your life. What would that fix? They'll tell you, mm-hmm. Oh, man, we could double our business. We'd make an extra $500,000 a year next year if we figure that out. Cool. So my solution's worth $500,000 to you? The truest answer is yes. Mm-hmm. Will they pay $500,000 for that solution? No. Will they pay $50,000 for that solution to make 500 grand? Probably so. And that's the whole, like, you got to have a predictable flow of leads.
Mhm.
So you're building and creating not in a vacuum, but in a conversation.
Okay, so let's talk about predictable flow of leads, because I think this is something a lot of people struggle with. And like you said, if you're not generating your own leads, you don't have a business, you're just lucky, right? And I mean, I can say over the last, couple decades, I've watched a lot of businesses do big launches and work with JV lists and then scorched earth and die after because they couldn't generate leads on their own. And once those lists dried up, that was it. So how are you generating leads?
We're 100% organic.
Okay.
And that is not because paid traffic isn't good. All right. We love paid traffic, and we do a lot of paid traffic for our surgery clients, for instance. But we are 100% organic. We have a lot of paid traffic experts in our mastermind who teach masterminds on paid traffic. That's great. But for us, we focused on organic lead gen on lots of social media platforms. If you're getting started, folks, pick the one you like the best. Every population is on every platform. You're going to find your people on whatever platform you like the most. So pick the one you're comfortable with that you'll actually do something with. All right. Pick one, get good at it. Ultimately, it's about relationships. So we go to a social media platform, pick your favorite flavor, Instagram, let's say, and we're producing content and looking for people who would want that content. So we're talking about how to build an HVAC company. And I'm looking for other people who are HVAC type experts and posters on Instagram and inviting them to be my friend and saying, hey, we got this cool thing over here. We're talking about HVAC stuff. What questions can I answer? I'll do a post tomorrow on that. They're like, oh, cool. Thanks. Here's my question. And then you just jump on and say, awesome. We're doing that tomorrow. Hey, we should just jump on a call sometime and talk things out. You'll be shocked how many people will jump on a call. And when they do that, you're going to learn what they want. You're going to hear about their dreams, their drains, and their doubts. And all of a sudden, that organic process is built on relationship, which automatically creates the know, like, and trust experience and gives you a chance to really hear what they need, which in turn gives you a chance to create an offer, which in turn gives you a chance to actually offer something that's relevant to them. All organically, no creating in a vacuum. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that being said, obviously we're dealing with price points where you need a little more personal touch in the sales process. This is not an add to cart, fill out order form and sign up.
Right.
Okay. So let's talk now. Okay. So we took a step back. We were going to get my mind. Where did we leave off? Okay. So the beginning was, okay, what is the structure of your mastermind group, right? Like, what do you deliver? How often does that happen? Like, just the mechanics of it.
Yeah. So again, going back to the lead gen process being organic informs this, but here's what you're looking for while you're doing the lead gen process and having those early stage conversations. By the way, that early stage of organic lead gen and getting to your first couple of sales should take 4 to 6 weeks. All right. You'll be getting on real sales calls in a couple of weeks if you do it right, and you should be closing in the 4 to 6 week mark, filling up your first group. So the structure of what you're going to deliver, what does this look like? It comes down to a couple of things, 2 primary things. One, you're hearing what these people need and what they want based on your expertise, whoever's listening. You're also hearing, like in your own mind, you're hearing, okay, they're saying they want this, and I know that I could totally help that. I know how to do that. Great. So now you have their problem, your solution. Is that going to be 12 weeks, 8 weeks, templates, videos, live Q&As? There's all these things it could turn out to be as you flesh it out.
Sure.
But what really matters is what they think they need and what you know they need. So I might know that a person can, like I just said, you can build your own mastermind in really 6 to 8 weeks, everything's done, you're launched. I might know it takes 6 to 8 weeks. But somebody that I'm talking to in my audience might think, Chris, I just am so busy. I don't think I could do this. It would take me 6 months. Okay. If you'd like to do that in 6 months, we can get you through that process in 6 months. So the length of the term of my engagement with them is more dependent on what their expectation of their execution is. And if I can help them get there in 8 weeks and they're blown away, yay. If they need 6 months to comprehend it, that's okay too. So the duration is really dependent on making sure I can get it done inside that timeline but usually your prospect or audience member's duration is going to be longer. They think it's going to take longer than it actually takes, because really they've banged their head against the brick wall of failure, downloading e-courses, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos. They've tried everything themselves, and it's taken them years to get to this point of absolute, like, I'm done. I can't do it alone.
Yeah.
They probably can't imagine that something can happen so fast if you just know the right path.
Right.
So you got to have space created for their expectation.
Okay. So question for you. I mean, when you sell your mastermind, you're typically selling it on how you're going to help their business, right? You know, how, you know, the outcomes they're going to achieve and overcoming their obstacles. How much of the mastermind's retention, though, do you think is based on content versus networking? Like, because I've always kind of thought that, you know, they sign up for the training, but they stay for the community. You know, what does that look like? And, you know, if you're selling a specific outcome, you know, you have a finite sort of period of time to deliver that. With your masterminds, is there okay, this is the end of it, or is it just a rolling process where people come every time? And because that's what I've done. Okay, bring your problems to the table. Every 3 months, we overcome the problems. You walk away with an action plan. We meet again in 3 months.
Yeah. So I have two masterminds, as you mentioned when we first started the show.
Yeah.
The first one, this will give you an example of how this works. The first one is an 8-week long, like, crushing it process to go from no audience to having a high ticket mastermind of your own. Okay. In 8 weeks. Now we allow people in there and ask people to stay in there for 3 full cycles of their own mastermind build. If it takes you 12 weeks or 6 weeks, I don't care. That's set number one. Then we want you to finish that first mastermind and launch your second one, and then your third group. By then you've figured out so many efficiencies and you're making so much money and you've hired your teams and you got it going. I want people to stick around for that long. All right. But that's still, maybe that takes people 6 months to get through their first 3 groups or something like that. And they've launched and sold 3 groups. Yay them. What's happening after that, though, the longevity of that? About 35% of those people want to stay long-term. And by the way, most masterminds experience something similar to that. They want the next thing from you. 25 to 35% of people want the next thing from you. But I know, as the group leader, our next big push is, hey, you have to be making $50,000 a month to be in the next group. Okay. From your mastermind alone, you're making $50K a month to be in the next group. That next group is not as much of how to build a mastermind. It's, now we got teams and leadership and processes and the true sustainable business model stuff to build. That's what we talk about.
Yeah.
But truly, those people are there because they want to stay in this community. They know the value of the people who are at their level. So I believe they are buying, not for just systems and processes, but they're buying because they're at a place where they know, I want to be with people who are at my level of success, in my level of opportunity, because people at that level take action differently than people who are starting out. And it's nice to be able to just get the noise behind you and be able to work with folks who are just all crushing it together. So it's the community. To answer your question, it's the community.
So, and then once you get to that higher ticket one, how important then is it to add an experience to it and make it sort of experiential? For example, War Room. Every year they typically do them in nice hotels and stuff like that, but every year they'll do one down in Mexico at a resort and everybody will go down. And so it's experiential as well as, the academic side of it and networking side of it. What's your take on that and adding that experiential side to it?
So there's a line I've noticed between folks who are early on in a process and cash is tight, time is super busy, versus the ones who figured out, okay, I'm making plenty of money, I don't need all this money, and now I just want my life and my time back. People at that level, they don't get as excited about a rah-rah trip to a resort as the people at a mid to lower level. Because they're going on month-long vacations.
Yep.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah. they've already got all the opportunity, but they do get excited about, okay, we're going to go to somewhere where the cell phones are off, the laptops are off, there's no kids bothering us. We're bringing in an efficiency expert, and we're going to bring our biggest business inefficiency problems to the table, and we're going to crack the codes and go home on Sunday night with a problem fixed as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
They care about that. The fact that we throw in a fishing trip and some big excursion in the middle is super cool, but that's not what they need.
Exactly.
Yeah. They already did that 2 months ago.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I'm the same way. Like, they do all these. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to go do the business. And so then I can come back and spend time with my friends and family. Right.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Okay. So let's dig a little bit into pricing and, you know, figuring out your price points. And I think also that mental barrier people run into, you know, will people pay me that much? So when we're talking masterminds, how do you help people determine how much they should be charging?
It's interesting you ask. We actually just talked about this today in my mastermind. So it comes down to what experience or transformation or let's say life goal they're going to hit based on your help in the next 12 months. So let's just talk about that as a framework. So if you're teaching health and relationships, and they're going to be able to save a relationship, have a deeper relationship with their kids, be able to change their own personal health and get the lifestyle they always wanted. Or if they're dealing with time and money, more businessy, tactile, structural things, going to free up 20 hours a work week that I can prospect and sell more, or actually get my life back with. Or they're going to make an extra $1 million a year based on this amazing marketing you're going to show them, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. If they take your advice, let's say you got a 12-week long process, do everything I say. And if you actually do it and show up, every time we talk in our mastermind, the last slide says, do work, get results. There's no get rich quick crap out there. Just do the work. Let's get the results and move on.
Yeah. So
you do the work, you get the results. If you do that for the course of 12 months, whatever you're selling, let's say it will yield somebody $1 million and change. That's super cool. Again, I can sell that for $1 million because after 1 year, they're going to break even. Year 2, they've pocketed an extra $1 million. That's a cool thing. Or that's a big offer though, right? Yeah. Or I can sell it for a percentage. And in our structure, we advise folks, hey, typically go for that 10 to 20% on your first go at this. So if you're gonna make $100,000 difference in their life, $1 million difference in their life, let's say $1 million, you could charge $100,000 for this transformation. They probably are going to need a payment plan that lasts for a few months. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: if it's your first mastermind group, to have somebody join who can afford a $20K a month payment plan for 5 months, that might not happen. They might not be attracted to you quite yet. Let's say you dial it back and start charging $15K, $20K, $10K mm-hmm. for your first 2 or 3 groups.
Yeah.
Get serious testimonials, get referrals, get all that stuff going. That's why we want people in there for 3 groups. Then all of a sudden you get the clout you need to be able to do what you want to do.
Sure.
So pricing has to be relevant to your positioning in the market, if you're a beginner or advanced, wherever the market perceives you to be, and the real transformational value you're bringing, some ratio of that.
Okay. So question. So when you're selling coaching or masterminds that are going to help people grow the business, typically you can make a case for a pretty clear ROI, right? You know, here's your potential growth. So, you know, here's why this is worth this. But once you get out of that, and the other area where there's a lot of coaches and a lot of experts, but maybe it's a little harder to quantify, is health. So what are you seeing in the health space in terms of masterminds, and what are people charging?
Yeah. So this is a really just wildly varied market.
Yeah.
It's easy to sell making money, right? Every ad you see on Facebook or Instagram, wherever you hang out, is probably making money or looking and feeling a little better. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's personal vanity or personal finance. It seems to come down to those 2 things. The health and wellness, let's say it's mental health. Let's say it's overcoming trauma or addiction or something like that. Use that as a genre. Mm-hmm. There are lots of people I'm one of them. I've paid to be in residential programs to heal from personal trauma that happened in my childhood. Long, deep story. No need to go there.
Yeah.
I'm saying that as a person to say, I've paid a lot of money to be in what is in essence a high ticket mastermind at a resort for weeks on end.
Yeah.
To heal and get my personal health back. I did it. I'm a mastermind member of a personal health mastermind. That is what a residential facility is that helps you lock in and get things done. That's an extreme, right? There's a population that will totally pay for that. It's just a positioning thing. There's also a population who's like, look, I know I need to get a basic therapist, but I won't even pay $50 an hour for the most basic therapist. I'm just going to listen to self-help tapes.
Mm-hmm.
There's extremes for every market. So
Absolutely.
You just got to find, and this is kind of a maturity thing as we grow as humans, I think. Your goal, again, if you don't have a way to predictably generate on-profile leads that can pay you, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
As you're generating those leads, we're constantly focusing on which of these people are serious enough to take action and willing to pay for something to take action. That's the lead you want, and that's what you got to crack the code on and keep replicating that. Because in every market, health and wellness, personal finance, time, relationships, there's a segment of that market who's grown up enough, mature enough to say, I want that. I know it's going to cost something, but I'm so ready to get this done in my life. Let's go. Just tell me where to start.
Yes.
That person, by the way, is going to pay you, but fine. We're all going to make money doing this. Nobody's starving in this mastermind game. It's very profitable.
Yeah.
But what's more important is that person's going to change their freaking life because they're ready.
Okay.
That's super.
So now for those people listening, going, hey, this is really cool. You know, I've got a health strategy that I know would help people. What level of credibility or authority or, you know, public exposure, or how do you build that because let's face it, somebody hits me up on Facebook and said, hey, I'm really good at this. I can coach you how to do this and solve this problem. I'm going to want to know a little bit more about that person, right? So in terms of personal positioning, because they're effectively buying you, right?
Right.
What do you recommend? What do you coach people to have in place?
Okay. Let me get to the tools in a second. Let's just lay the groundwork here.
Okay.
So you go to a bar, you're single, you're hoping to meet some cool, interesting people. And, you know, you're kind of open to a one-on-one relationship. You can find the right person. Walking up to somebody and saying, hey, you know, I am the most, let's make it creepy. I give the most amazing back massages. You know, they're at the bar, they're holding a drink. You walk up and say, hey, I give the most amazing back massages. Want to give it a try? Okay. What the heck? Right. So you're gonna call the cops immediately. There's no relationship, no like and trust there, right? Same with marketing. You get hit up on Facebook by some random message. Hey, I'm a coach that does this. Can we talk? What? What's your name? Do you have kids? I mean, do you like cats or dogs? We got to talk. So yeah. So the whole thing with Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, wherever you like to hang out, podcasting, it's about, okay, I'm going to get to know you and we're going to talk and find out what's going on in life, your business, personal life, whatever that context needs to be. And, you know, we got a connection that's happening here. I think we could be beneficial together. Let's have a conversation about that. If your messaging sequence on Facebook, you mentioned, is going in that direction, building relationships and really listening to the person, and maybe taking a second to actually click on their profile and see what they're interested in, then you got something that can go somewhere. If you just got a bot firing off messages, I don't know. I mean, we all hate that. So totally. Why do you think they're going to love it? Right.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a high touch process. It has to be at that price point. No question. All right. Yeah. Now, last question, we're starting to wrap up. And this is something we sort of talked about initially when we're talking about War Room and stuff like that, is what's the right number of people for a mastermind group in your opinion and experience?
In my opinion, again, this is me and my leadership style in my market.
Mhm.
15 to 25 people at a time is where I like to land. So again, for me in my market, I teach people how to build high ticket masterminds. And then once they're successful at that, I teach them how to build a sustainable business model that really can help them get their life back if it's lost.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't teach, for instance, I don't teach how to build Facebook ads and use the Facebook Business Manager. If I did, I could present a topic for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I could do Q&A for an hour, let's say, a 90-minute session once a week.
Mhm.
If I was doing Facebook ads in Facebook Marketplace and somebody had a question that's so freaking detailed, I
Mhm.
might be able to get to 5 or 6 questions, 5 or 6 people sharing screens, walking them through the process, showing them what's glitching, whatever. And I could only have 5 or 6 people on screen and help them effectively. With what I'm teaching, I can handle 15 to 25 people on screen at a time. I try to stay around 15. That's my magic spot.
Mhm.
Some people can handle, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 people. But to me, even though you can handle that many things, that many people at one time, I agree. Like you mentioned, the one year part of it got to be 100 people in a mastermind group, then 200. At some point, it's a really expensive e-course, and you're really not getting relationships or the time with the expert.
Mhm.
And that's when it starts falling apart and degenerating. So yeah, it's, to me, it's 15 to 25 people is the sweet spot
Yeah.
for most leaders. Yeah.
And so with that, how much of one-on-one with you do they get?
I have taken very few one-on-ones over the past, let's say 2-3 years now.
Hmm.
I'd say 3 years. The pandemic kind of makes a year and a half or two kind of disappear, right?
Yes.
Yeah, was that normal? I don't know. So yeah, for me, I don't do one-on-ones, and here's why. I say that occasionally. I have a spot once a week after 2 mastermind calls on Thursdays, right before we're recording this, actually, where I have an open spot for one-on-ones, and I probably fill that once every other month with a 30-minute one-on-one. If somebody has a deeply personal situation that they need to talk about, that they don't need an audience for, I will create time for that.
Mhm.
But typically they're telling my team, hey, I need to talk to Chris about this issue. Can I book a one-on-one? Here's why. If it's not just deeply personal, like, Chris, I feel like I'm going bankrupt. Can you help me restructure some debt? Do you have an idea about that? Okay, I don't want you to have to say it in front of anybody else. Sure.
Mhm.
Let's get you cash flow coming in and fix that problem, but you don't need to say that in front of everybody else. I get it.
Yep.
It's not a deeply personal. Their question is the same question that everybody else has or doesn't even know they need to have.
Mhm.
And the group transformation is going to be more important than the one-on-one session. Also, because I'm really careful, and anybody who's going to build their mastermind should be, about group selection. The asking the question in front of 14 other people, let's say, is going to give you so much more feedback and input than I could ever think of, because you're going to hear from me and my personality, my experience. You're going to 10x that personality, experience, and connection point if you ask in front of everybody else. And you'll walk away with a fix, not just an opinion, because you'll hear 7 opinions and you'll be able to pick the one out that works for you. That's transformation rapidly. And that's what I'm really fostering. So one-on-ones are a dead end street for the host,
Yeah.
the expert. You're going to run out of time. You're going to burn out. You're not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
It's also not as good for the people.
Yeah. And I think, sort of an underlying message to people there is when you have a mastermind, the whole load doesn't fall on your shoulders because the group will participate. And that's one of the things I've always enjoyed about hosting masterminds is it's a conversation where, you get a whole group of typically smart people that are focused on this, which is really valuable as well. All right. Well, look, this has been a fantastic, awesome conversation. I've totally enjoyed this. And I could keep going, but we're running out of time. So to wrap this up, for those listeners that are going, oh my God, I need a mastermind. How do they connect with you? Where do they find you?
It's super easy. Go to groupcoachnation.com. We built out a resource set at groupcoachnation.com. We do 3 things there. We talk to beginners, advanced people, and pro people in this coaching space trying to figure this out. So if you're just an expert and you're like, I think this makes sense, but I'm not sure, click on the beginner section. We actually show you right there on the homepage, right below the fold. Here's the 3 areas. Here's how to know which one you are. Click on your space and start learning. We have free resources there for you to learn. If you're an advanced person, you're like done one-on-one coaching already, you're like, I want to move to a group model. You're an advanced person. If you've been teaching multiple mastermind groups and you're crushing it, making 50K or more in your own mastermind groups, and you're trying to figure out the business model long-term behind that, that's a pro thing. We got stuff for each of those stages, groupcoachnation.com. And it's all right there. Super easy to find.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being here today and just, unconditionally sharing with our audience. I love it.
Absolutely. Derek, can I say one more thing? I know we got to go.
Sure.
We all have our own audiences, but everybody here in Derek's audience, just stop for a second and think about what Derek's giving you. He has a podcast just for you to enjoy. He's not pitching you something. He has tons of resources on his website and in his sphere of influence. He's got so many connections. Like, if you're building that digital agency, if you're building that audience, if you're building that market, if you're building your business, like, lean in, because this dude knows freaking what he's talking about. He's the real deal. And like, Derek, as a person who gets to lead my own audience, looking at somebody else leading audience, like, I'm grateful to be on planet Earth with someone like you, because you're doing it right. You care about your people. So thanks for being an awesome human.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you contributing to this podcast. Hopefully we get to do it again sometime.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, everybody, now it's your turn. And as I always say, to wrap things up, if you've listened, you know this. The only way anything we talked about here is going to make any difference in your life is if you apply that final ingredient, and that is action. So go check out Chris's website. If you're thinking about starting a mastermind group, go there. Use the resources that he's gifting you on that website. I include all the links, as you know, in the show notes, projectignite.com. So if you missed it or you're driving or whatever, it'll be there for you. And, don't write this off. I know a lot of people are like, mastermind, I couldn't do that. But this is such an amazing business model that is very rewarding, very fulfilling, because you really do make a difference in people's lives. And it's very, very profitable. So you're going to love it. And as always, if you like what you heard today, please leave me a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform. And on that note, this episode's a wrap. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to another info-packed episode of the Project Ignite podcast with Derek Gale.
Any links mentioned, along with an entire transcript of this episode, can be found at projectignite.com/podcast.
And to make sure you never miss another episode, go to iTunes or SoundCloud now and subscribe.